He smiled at me like he always did, warm and reassuring, but something in his eyes made me pause. It was Thanksgiving morning, and my son-in-law Brandon stood in my kitchen doorway, holding a pumpkin pie from the expensive bakery downtown. "Happy Thanksgiving, Margaret," he said, setting the pie on my worn Formica countertop. "Emily's running late with the turkey, but she'll be here within the hour. How are you feeling? The home health aide is still coming 3 times a week, right?" I stared at him, my hands gripping the edge of the sink. "Home health aide?" Brandon's smile flickered. "Yes," the nurse Emily arranged, "the one she's been paying $8,000 a month for." He pulled out his phone, scrolling. "She mentioned it last week. Said you texted her that the aide was wonderful, really helping with your medications and physical therapy." My mouth went dry. $8,000. Every month. For an aide who didn't exist. "Brandon," I said slowly, "I don't have a home health aide." The color drained from his face for just a moment before he laughed, but it sounded forced. "That's your sense of humor, Margaret. You always joke around. Of course you have the aide. Emily's been sending me the invoices for months." I turned to face him fully, my arthritic hands trembling slightly. "I've been managing on my own. The free clinic downtown helps with my medications. Dr. Patel there checks my blood pressure every other week, but no aide comes to this house." Brandon's jaw tightened. He glanced toward the front door, then back at me. "Margaret, you must be confused. The memory issues Emily mentioned." "My memory is just fine," I interrupted, feeling heat rise to my cheeks. "I remember every single day of the last 6 months since your promotion to CFO. I remember every conversation with Emily. And I remember never, not once, receiving help from any home health aide." He opened his mouth to respond when we heard Emily's car pull into the driveway. My daughter burst through the door moments later, her arms full of grocery bags, her face flushed from the November wind. "Happy Thanksgiving, Mom." She kissed my cheek, her expensive perfume filling my small living room. "Sorry I'm late." The line at Whole Foods was insane. "Brandon, did you check on Mom's aide? I want to make sure she's getting the full services we're paying for." I watched my daughter's face carefully. She looked genuinely concerned, genuinely convinced that someone was caring for me. This wasn't a conspiracy between them. Emily truly believed what Brandon had told her. "Sweetheart," I said gently, "there is no aide." Emily froze, a can of cranberry sauce in her hand. "What, Mom? Don't be silly." "Brandon's been coordinating everything with Silvercare Home Health Services. I see the charges on our business account every month. $8,000. "Show me," I said. Brandon shifted uncomfortably. "Emily, your mother's confused. This happens with seniors sometimes. Let's not upset her on Thanksgiving." "I'm not confused," I said firmly. "Show me the paperwork. Show me the name of this aide who supposedly comes here." Emily pulled out her phone, her fingers flying across the screen. "The company is Silvercare Home Health Services. The aide's name is," she squinted at her phone, "Rebecca Martinez. She's supposed to visit Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to noon." I shook my head. "Emily, honey, I'm alone every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to noon. I watch The Price is Right and do my crossword puzzle. Nobody named Rebecca Martinez has ever stepped foot in this house." My daughter's face went pale. She turned to Brandon, who was now backing toward the door. "Brandon, what's going on?" "This is ridiculous," he said, his voice rising. "Margaret, you're clearly not remembering. We've had this conversation before. The aide comes while you're napping." "I don't nap," I said. "Not since your father passed, Emily. You know that. I've had insomnia for 3 years." Emily's hands were shaking now. "Brandon, call the agency. Right now. Get someone on the phone. It's Thanksgiving, Em. They're not going to answer." "Try." Her voice had gone cold in a way I'd never heard before. Brandon fumbled with his phone, his face now bright red. He pressed it to his ear, waited. "Voicemail," he muttered. "Leave a message," Emily demanded. He did, his voice tight. When he hung up, an uncomfortable silence filled my small living room. The smell of Emily's expensive groceries mixed with the mustiness of my old house, and I suddenly felt very, very tired. "Mom," Emily said softly, "have you ever met this Rebecca Martinez?" "Never." "Has anyone from any home health agency contacted you? Ever?" No, sweetheart. Emily's eyes filled with tears. She turned to Brandon, and I saw something break in her expression. Show me the invoices. Right now. Pull them up on your phone. Emily, this is your mother's confusion causing problems between us. Show me the invoices. Brandon's hands shook as he scrolled through his phone. I watched my daughter's face as she read whatever he showed her, watched her expression move from disbelief to horror to rage. These aren't even real, she whispered. Brandon, these are PDFs you created. The company phone number goes to your old cell phone. I just tried calling it. Emily, I can explain. Where's the money? Her voice cracked. Where's the $48,000 I've transferred to that account over the last 6 months? I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. $48,000 for an aide who didn't exist, for care I never received. Brandon ran his hand through his hair, his composed facade completely shattered. I made some investments. They were supposed to pay off. I was going to replace it before you noticed. Investments? Emily's voice rose to a shout. You stole money meant for my mother's health care for investments? They weren't supposed to lose. The crypto market was never Tay. He stopped, realizing what he'd just admitted. Emily stared at him like she'd never seen him before. Get out. Em, please. Get out of my mother's house. Get out now before I call the police. Brandon looked at me, perhaps hoping I'd intervene, but I just stood there, gripping my walker, watching the man who'd called me Mom for 5 years crumble. He grabbed his coat and left, the door slamming behind him. The silence that followed was deafening. Emily sank into my threadbare armchair, her head in her hands, crying. I moved slowly to sit beside her, my old knees protesting. Mom, I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I thought I was taking care of you. I thought you were getting help. Meanwhile, you've been here alone, struggling, and I didn't even know. Sweetheart, you've been working so hard. You couldn't have known. I should have visited more. I should have checked. I should have. She looked up at me, her makeup running. How have you been managing? The medications alone cost hundreds. The free clinic? I said quietly. Dr. Patel is wonderful, and the church food bank helps. Mrs. Chen next door brings me groceries sometimes. I've been okay, Emily. Not comfortable, but okay. Her face crumpled again. You shouldn't have to live like this. You raised me alone after Dad died. You worked 2 jobs to put me through college. And this is how I repay you? By trusting my husband more than my own eyes? You couldn't have known, I repeated. But Emily was already on her phone, her tears drying as fury took over. I'm calling my lawyer. This is fraud. This is elder abuse. He's going to prison for this. Over the next few days, the truth came out in pieces. Brandon had lost his job 3 months earlier, but hadn't told Emily. He'd been using her business account to cover his expenses, creating fake invoices for services that never existed. The $48,000 for my home health aide had gone to day trading losses. Another $60,000, supposedly for business consulting, had funded his lifestyle while he pretended to go to work. Emily moved in with me that week, sleeping on my couch while her lawyers sorted through the wreckage of her marriage. We spent Thanksgiving evening eating grocery store turkey at my kitchen table, just the 2 of us, like when she was small and it was just us against the world. I'm setting up real home health care, she told me on Friday. Her laptop open on my coffee table. And I'm going to visit every week to verify it. No more trusting someone else to care for you. Emily, you don't have to. Mom, I want to. And I can afford it. My company's doing well. I've just been absent. Letting Brandon handle things while I focused on work. She closed her laptop, looking at me with red-rimmed eyes. I'm so sorry. You deserved better. You're here now, I said. That's what matters. The legal proceedings took months. Brandon tried to claim it was a misunderstanding, that he'd intended to pay it back, but the evidence was overwhelming. The fake invoices, the shell company accounts, the fabricated emails pretending to be from Silvercare Home Health Services. Emily's lawyers were ruthless. In February, he pleaded guilty to fraud and embezzlement. The judge gave him 18 months in prison and ordered restitution. Not that there was much to get back, he'd lost most of it in bad trades. But something else happened during those months. Emily did set up real home health care. But she also started coming over every Wednesday for dinner. Not to check on the Aide, just to be with me. We'd cook together in my small kitchen, her chopping vegetables while I told her stories about her father, about her childhood, about the years we'd spent as a team. She told me about her company, her dreams, her fears. We became close again in a way we hadn't been since she was a teenager. The aide Emily hired, her name was Teresa, and she really did exist, helped me with my medications and took me to physical therapy twice a week. My arthritis improved, my blood pressure stabilized. Dr. Patel was thrilled. But the real healing was in my relationship with Emily. She'd been so focused on success, on providing financially, that she'd forgotten I just wanted her presence. The fraud had been terrible, but it had also been a wake-up call. On Mother's Day, 6 months after that terrible Thanksgiving, Emily took me to brunch at a nice restaurant downtown. We sat by the window, watching families walk past, and she handed me a card. Inside, she'd written, "Mom, thank you for teaching me that love isn't about money or things, it's about showing up. I'm sorry it took me so long to remember. I promise to do better. I love you." I cried right there in the restaurant, happy tears this time. "You know," I told her, wiping my eyes, "in a strange way, I'm glad all this happened." She looked shocked. "Mom, he stole from you. He lied to both of us." "I know, and he deserves every consequence he's facing." I reached across the table to hold her hand, but it brought you back to me. It reminded both of us what really matters. That's worth more than $48,000. Emily squeezed my hand, smiling through her own tears. "You're too forgiving, Mom." "I'm just grateful," I said, "for Wednesday dinners, for you sleeping on my couch that first week, for learning that my daughter doesn't need to hire someone to care for me when she can just be here." Later that evening, as we drove back to my house, Emily had helped me fix it up with some of the restitution money, new carpet and fresh paint. I thought about all the years I'd spent alone. Not really lonely, because I had my routines and my neighbors and Dr. Patel. But alone nonetheless. Now my refrigerator had photos stuck to it with magnets. Emily and me at her company Christmas party, Teresa and me doing physical therapy exercises, Dr. Patel and his family at the clinic's anniversary celebration. My calendar had markings: Wednesday dinner, Friday PT, Sunday phone call with Emily. My life wasn't luxurious. I still lived in the same small house, still shopped carefully, still used coupons. But I was richer than I'd been in years. Because the thing about Brandon's fraud was this: it had revealed what I truly needed, not $8,000 a month for a fake service, not expensive pumpkin pies from downtown bakeries. Just my daughter, showing up, being present, remembering that love is measured in time, not money. And that, I realized, as I settled into my favorite chair, that Mother's Day evening was worth everything.